Hey sister, this is Dr. Karen Osborne. Listen, I'm going to talk to you for 30 seconds before this episode begins about my next Women Wanting More live event. This is 2.5 days of women just like you being pushed physically, mentally, emotionally, getting really clear on what they want, knowing why it matters, and leave with the tools to actually put that into action and being part of a sisterhood. So if this is something that really, really resonates within your heart, sister, I want you to head over to drkarenosborne.com, click on the Work With Me button, and we can start the application process. I look forward to hearing from you. Here's that episode.
Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So it was around 4 years ago that my husband came to me at the break at a TEDx talk that we were attending with our staff from a chiropractic office at the time, kind of really bummed out. And I'm like, what's going on, babe? And he's like, I just realized that we've stopped taking risks. So before I fill you in more on that story, let's talk a little bit first about risks and how most of the world perceives that, right? We've been led to believe that taking a risk is bad. Don't risk anything. Be careful. Watch yourself. Don't go out on a limb. Don't do anything different. They're all risky. And that somehow the better move is to play safe, is to be careful, is to plan everything out, is to not make any moves, is to just stay small, right? Because that's really how most of the world runs, doesn't it? And just know, this is not a judgment. This is not a good or a bad. It just simply is. Most of the world does not stand up, stand out, speak their truth, become who they want and need to become. There are only so many people in the world that actually do that, and most of the world want to play it safe. They don't want to take any risks. But I'm going to actually encourage you to just consider this differently today, sister. Because some of the greatest people in the world that have had the most massive shifts and change and have made a difference with their time here on the planet, however short or long that it may be, did so because they took risks. Listen, you don't have to take risks like people like, Steve Jobs and Gandhi and Mother Teresa. We can all make a difference with our time here on the planet, big or small, however you perceive or define that. But what if taking a risk is actually the safe thing and playing it safe is actually the risk? What if? What if staying small and not standing up and the idea that if I shine and, really fully show up, I'm going to steal the light from somebody else, scarcity. What if all those things are wrong? What if? What if they get married, have the kids, get a, quote, good job, save to retirement, and that's the promised land? What if that actually isn't true? What if? See, here's the thing. So back to that TEDx talk. There was a speaker that I was referring to, and why he had such a profound moment with this, and it was a guy who had 2 young children. I think they were either under the age of 3 or 5. Two daughters, wife, made, quote, good money, supported his family. He was the sole breadwinner and worked for a newspaper. And he felt called to leave that. He wanted to do a sabbatical in France for a year. Everybody thought he was crazy. He would not get paid. They had to sell their house to do all this and sell a lot of their stuff. And they're like, what are you doing? You can't take risks. You have children. You have family to support. Play it safe. Do what we're doing. What are you doing? And he did it anyways. And I can't remember the whole story behind it. If it was just, he just felt this calling, or he thought, I need to do this. And what came out of that risk was clarity. He realized that where he was and what he was doing in his life, career-wise, and just what he wanted of his life was not what he was doing. So he left that when he came back. and he opened up a marketing company. And this was now about 3 years later that he was sharing the story, and the happiest ever. All because he decided to take a risk. See, we think often that the risks again are, we need to somehow have everything figured out, right? Like we have to, I often talk about the pros and the cons list. We got to figure it out. We have to know all the steps. Sister, you will never know all the fucking steps. There's not enough shit in the world that you can know for you to define this as now safe and the quote, right thing to do. The practical thing. See, the way that I see the world is this. Taking risks is part of life, big or small. You define what that is for you. My fucking risk, I left my profession. Profession that I spent 8 years of my life getting to, chiropractic, to become a chiropractor, over $150,000 in my education, because I no longer felt called to do that. It no longer lit me up the same way. It didn't make any sense. I also decided to leave my network marketing company. Same thing, didn't make sense. Really started to earn money with that, building a big team. I walked from it. Risk. Leaving chiropractic, risk. People are like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going all in with coaching women, how to discover and get more in their life. They kind of look at me like I have two heads, and they'd often say the words of, well, good for you, that's great. And they're like, I don't really understand that. It's okay, you don't need to understand it. I know this is what we need to do. Risk. We left Alberta, where we lived for the last 14 years. We had all sorts of support there. Friends, people that we had to help us with our children, people that came to clean our house, to cook food for us. We left all that, moved here to Victoria, where I'm recording this right now, walking outside our beautiful home, and where we knew virtually no one. Risk. Risk, 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 risk. Sold our house, decided actually to rent. Decided not to buy another house. Ooh, risk. And what I found is that every single time that I take a risk, I grow. Every single time that I take that jump, that leap, sister, it gets me to that next place. I never know all the details. I only have to take that step. I only have to take that leap. I only have to take that fucking jump. And I smile at those around me that go, I can never do that. That's such a risk. It's so risky. And I think, sweetheart, you have no idea how risky it is to not take risks. For me, to not take risks, to not take these big jumps forward is like death. It's like a slow death. To just mold into the rest of society, live a mediocre life, stay small, stay in the shadows, watch Netflix, and eat shitty food. Take a risk, sister. Take a risk. The biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Is to never try, is to never take that leap, is to be so afraid of falling on your ass that you never even fucking try. And think, if you were a parent, how important do you think it is for us to model the life that we want our children to have? See, I don't want my children to have to wait until they're 47, 46 years old to figure shit out. I'm teaching them now. The women that I coach, majority of my clients are a little bit younger than me. I feel it is my mission to teach them this so that they don't have to wait till in their late 40s to figure this shit out. Risk. So here's your more tip for today, sister. What risk do you need to take today? Now listen, this could be big or small. Again, however you define it. Maybe that risk is simply like, I'm going to try at that yoga class. I'm going to go to that gym. I'm going to actually talk to my neighbor because I think she's really like cool chick and we can maybe become friends. So I'm just going to be like, hey, let's go out for coffee. What do you think? I'm going to have a difficult conversation with my husband. As we go up the scale, it could be like, I really want to go back to school. I really want to start this business. I really want to start getting a following on social media and start to build a brand and a message. Like, what is the one risk you can take today? And I want you to do that today and start to see the momentum that builds when you do so. So I want you to go ahead and head over to my website, drkarenosborne.com. If you don't already subscribe to Women Wanting More newsletter, I want you to do that. Now, there's a couple places to opt in. Enter in your name and email, and you will get all through these episodes 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every single day, though, I will connect with you, sister. So these will be videos that I've put out, blog posts. There'll be information about my upcoming book. The next one we will launch a master class, the live events. So make sure to log in to drkarenosborne.com, hop onto the newsletter, opt in with your name and email, and you will get started on the Women Wanting More Sisterhood today. So I will talk to the next episode, sister. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborne.com/newsletter.